Heathers is an interesting show to be sure. After an off-Broadway tryout with not much sign of a future, the cast album was taken from obscurity and given life again by young fans. Since that point, we've had an Australian production, a Brazilian production, and a West End production which was headed up by the same creative team as the original off-Broadway tryout. But today I ask the hardest question. Who is the best Veronica Sawyer? I mean, that question has no answer because theatre is what's subjective, but which actress who has played Veronica gave a pretty good performance when I analysed them all, and who is my favourite isn't really a snappy YouTube title. But today, I'm going to walk through the many actresses who have played Veronica, analyse their performances, and then let you in on my favourite. Now, as I always say on my channel, theatre is what? Subjective! And my favourite Veronica isn't necessarily going to be your favourite Veronica, and that's perfectly okay. All these actresses are fantastic, and my nitpicks don't change that at all. And of course, I welcome you to share your opinion in the comments down below, as I always do on these type of videos. Now, I have spent months trying to put this videos together. It's been one of the hardest videos I've ever had to make, and there is two reasons for this. Number one, I have to be fair. I have to watch as many performances. I have to read up on the context. Was there stuff happening at this point? Is the video that I'm watching from earlier in the week or later in the week? Their vocal cords might have been for a lot. Maybe they just needed a break. There's a lot of context that you need to know before you can start judging a performance. And all of these have to be weighed up and balanced so that the criticism is fair and there is enough positivity in there. And number two, I didn't know how many Veronicas to analyse. Heathers Before London is not a very well catalogued show. It's not like Waitress where you can find pretty decent video of each Jenna, meaning I don't have as much footage as I hoped for. So here's my compromise. I have picked 3 of the songs I think are the most important for Veronica. If an actress has video of all of them, they'll get a full analysis. If they have audio, I'll analyse them in a later video or as a Patreon exclusive. And if there is no footage for them, they get an honourable mention here. I think this is the best way to go with it and not completely lose my sanity. So, here is where every actress fits in. I've got to say here that Olivia Moore has video, but it's not great. I also decided to include her in this video with the knowledge that sometimes I might not be able to analyse her as fully as some of the others. But what am I looking for in a Veronica? Well, the original play script describes Veronica as someone who wants to be both cool and kind, but struggles on doing both at the same time. She thinks she's an old soul, but she's still innocent enough to be blindsided by love. Veronica to me is quite a powerful presence. Someone who's a follower but isn't afraid to stand up for herself. And with that being said, it's time to analyse some Sawyers. First up, let's look at Veronica's first big moment in the show, which comes at the end of the opening number, Beautiful. I love Barrett's interpretation of this song. She's so joyous, you honestly struggle not to root for her because she, in one moment, has achieved everything that she thinks she wants. She's so giddy, she's literally jumping for joy, but also doesn't fail to deliver that awkward teenness that is so relatable. I love her delivery of the line, because that's where she takes her moment of stillness, looking herself up and down and finally telling herself she looks beautiful, and then allowing herself to get as giddy as possible. Now, while I am a massive fan of Barrett's vocal choices here, I have to mention the fact that this show really damaged her vocals, and she has admitted so. So, while I can sit here and say that her vocals are absolutely incredible, they're beautiful to listen to, her belts are so powerful, this did take a toll on her voice. So of course that's a little bit of a negative, but not really on her, but it would be completely unfair of me not to mention it. But it's a strong start with a lot of great choices. Next up, Carrie Fletcher. Now, I will lay my biases on the table here. I'm a big fan, I'm a big stan, but of course, I'll tackle her Veronica as I would any other Veronica. There's a lot of confidence in Carrie's Veronica, a choice which I think works very well to show Veronica's needs to be cool. And you can tell just how cool she feels in this moment. from just her small little wink to the audience as she looks at herself and pulls her arms down as she builds towards the climax of the song. And the belting section feels like a celebration. The arm pumps having that little bit of confusion at first, but quite quickly morphing back into confidence and sheer excitement. Carrie Hope Fletcher also had vocal problems during the show, as she suffered through tonsillitis for the show. And because of the demands of the show and a lot of people buying tickets because of her, she didn't really get the time to let her vocals recover. So to be absolutely fair, I listened to the cast album to judge her vocals on this specific song. But I think Carrie's vocals on that cast album are really, really strong. The belts feel so much comfier for her, being slightly adjusted, and she powers through them really, really well. Next up, let's talk about Annalay Ashford. Now, Annalay Ashford was the Veronica in the first workshop performance. And if you don't know what a workshop is like one of the first things that a musical will do when it's trying to evolve and pitch itself and get bounce off to somewhere new. It's for the writers and for the investors, so they don't always cast perfectly for the role. Now that also applies to Veronica. Knowing all this, Annalay does a surprisingly good job with the limited time and the limited space. She comes out full of energy and new earned confidence with little kicks and the awkward swagger of a teen. Her vocals are good, but I prefer the riffs done in Barrett's and Carrie's versions more. But again, they had the time, and they had the time to experiment with all these riffs and Veronica as a whole. For a workshop, just there to tease this show and help the writers, Annalay is a lot of fun, but could do a lot more if she had the space and the time. Olivia Moore's Beautiful is the bootleg equivalent to Restricted View. But what I can get from her performance is that Olivia is a very different Veronica, even to someone in the same production, like Carrie. Her Veronica has this air of innocence to her, and this is a very interesting take on the role, and works all the same. Olivia's vocals are great. Now, I think it's clear from watching this video that she is nervous, and I mean, I can't take any points away from her because of it, because wouldn't you be? You are the understudy for Carrie Hope Fletcher. A lot of people in this audience are here specifically to see Carrie Hope Fletcher. She has got to work doubly hard to win over this audience. I mean, I think anyone in her position would be nervous. So I will of course cut her some slack. Her riffs are clear, they sound really nice and flow really well. They're probably not my favourite, but they work all the same and really work for her take on Veronica. Alright, that's song 1 down. Who's my favourite? Honestly, there's so much I love about every single performance here. But if you pushed me on it, I think I'd say Carrie here, with Barrett as a very, very, very close second. I love the little details Carrie brings to it, and she really exudes that newfound confidence I was looking for. The next hurdle for our Veronicas to face is Dead Girl Walking. How do our Veronicas fare? Barrett starts off still, which was shocking for me because the last version of this song I saw was this.
Barrett's opening is a slow burn, but it's an effective transition from the previous moments in the musical.
Then, by the time the chorus comes around, she's a lot stronger, delivering her with a sharp yell. She almost has this kind of screw it attitude about her. And definitely in a lot of her mannerisms here. I think something that's not really talked about is how Barrett really nails the comedy. Is absolutely hilarious, and a quite deadpan delivery of song lyrics works really well. And honestly, I think this song is where Barrett's vocals just truly shine.
So the world's unfair, keep it locked out there, and here it's beautiful. Let's make this beautiful.
From the softer moments to the riffs and the belts, she nails this. And JD too. Carrie plays with the lyrics a little bit more in her opening. It almost feels like she's mocking the stupidity of the situation she's found herself in. Almost like it's less life-threatening than how Barrett's Veronica sees it.
30 hours to live, how shall I spend them? I could change my name and ride up to Seattle.
And then, when she spots JD, she falls straight into the role of sexy, or at least what her drunken self thinks sexy is, which is where the comedy shines in Carrie's performance. The best moment being her entrance into the bedroom. And actually, Carrie does pull off the kind of more sexy version of this by the time she's doing it with JD. It is really nice. It's so nice to see a character on stage who's a little bit more curvy and isn't defined by that and is still able to be seen as sexy. And finally, let's talk about her vocals, because
Let's make this beautiful.
she knocks out the park. It's so good. Ashford's Dead Girl Walking is full of drunken sexiness and is a lot of fun to watch. But again, it's a workshop. It doesn't quite go far enough. What's interesting to me is the way that Ashford just completely goes for it with her physicality. And this adds a lot of comedy. From general hip wagging to, of course, whatever this was. It's arguable whether it feels like something Veronica would do, but I'll be damned if I don't say it wasn't fun to watch. Olivia Moore finally gets a watchable performance after the first half of this bootleg song presents her as a blue blur. Olivia feels like she's truly reflecting at the start. Almost like it's her drunken state trying to tell her what's actually happened. I think it's really interesting to see Olivia's quite innocent Veronica be not so innocent. I think she's actually one of the strongest in showing the change in dynamic between JD and Veronica in the song because of this. What I'm not sure on is I'm not sure that Olivia sells the comedy as much as some of the other Veronicas. But again, I do miss some of these moments because of the way that the bootleg's filmed. Yeah, my favourite this round? I think I'd give this one to Barrett. While I love everything that Carrie does, while I love Olivia's innocence switching to sexy, and while I love Annalay Ashford, I think Barrett really does smash this song. From the comedy to the vocals to the acting, it's such a fantastic performance. Finally, 17. Barrett is extremely still. It feels very human, very subtle. She uses a strong pause at the start of the song, which is so effective and really lets the mood settle.
Fine, we're damaged.
There's so much emotion in her voice at the beginning of the song. She really feels the weight of every single word. It really feels like she's begging him, please, stop this. If we stop this, we can be together. It's really effective. And when JD has come close, they kiss, but the stop feels so sudden, unfinished, unsatisfying, but in the best way. And finally, they end the song by staring into each other's eyes and finally going back in for the kiss, hoping to be repaired, but of course that won't last. It's a strong journey that is directed really well, and Barrett commands the stage so well with just her presence. Carrie, alternatively, goes for a slightly different approach. She has quite strong mixed emotions. She's defeated, she gets angry, she pleads, but she manages to make all of these feel earned in just 30 seconds of a song. Also, footnote, I love how Carrie says the word bowling.
Or go bowling.
Carrie's stillness comes from the chorus, and this is a good choice because now Veronica has got a point across. She's told JD off, she stood her ground, and now she's ready to be kind and forgive. Veronica has a strong moral code, but longs to be cool and kind, as the original character description states for her. So Carrie really does feel like Veronica through these small little choices. And then the big kiss, and unlike Barrett, slow pull away. This does allow the moment to settle more, and I think the chemistry between Jamie and Carrie really does help boost these intimate moments between the two of them. Olivia Moore isn't even seen in her bootleg of this. Beggars can't be choosers. I can't moan about this too much, but it is very hard to analyse the performance. From what I can hear, it's good, and her vocals really do shine on her first chorus.
Can we be 17? That's all I want to do.
With that beautiful soft tone. But I can't really go into little details of performance as I would with some of these other people because I literally cannot see her. And Lake Ashford gets a moment to calm down in this song. And you know what? She's really good. Her delivery on the opening feels like she's stressed and tired of JD, with the way she takes authority with her punchy lines, which transitions into her beautiful chorus as the soft piano in the background complements her voice so well. The song feels a little bit faster here, which doesn't really work, but again, that's not her fault, so I can't really judge her too much on it, but I will say it does affect the performances a little bit. I think this is the closest of the bunch. Of course, it's a shame that I didn't get the full effect of Olivia's performance and that Ashford didn't get the time that she needed to really evolve hers, but Carrie and Barrett are on top form. Both are strikingly different ways of playing it, and both are as effective as each other. I think I'll call this round a draw. It's too close. I can't pick here without feeling bad about the other. They're that good. So ultimately, we come back to the question, who's my favourite? Who's the best? And this is always my least favourite part because everyone is so good. If I have to pick a favourite, my bias would probably lean a bit more towards Carrie. Mainly because she's the first person I saw live. I really love her in everything that she's in. But honestly, each and every Veronica could easily be my favourite. They're all so varied and different, and all of them are so brilliant in the role. All of them, as Veronica, are beautiful. And when you're beautiful, it's a beautiful frickin' day.